PTE Academic Speaking section. In this video, you are going to learn how to describe image. Describe image is a long answer speaking item type. It tests your ability to describe an image from an academic source. It assesses speaking skills. The approach for each image type is different. How to describe different type of images. The function of many graphs is to describe a trend, so be sure that you describe the trends. A trend is how values change generally over time, and it is important to describe the changes along with some of the individual values. If there are two graphs or charts, you have to make comparisons. Bar charts. Basically, with a bar chart, you need to describe the bars and their values. When describing a bar chart, you first have to decide in what order to describe the bars. Highest value to the lowest value, or lowest value to the highest value. It may be a mixture of this. If there are many bars, you can sometimes group together for description like 1 or 2 or 3 bars which have similar or the same values. If there are many and somehow you are not in a situation to group them, then just describe the ones that are the most significant. Pie charts are relatively straightforward, as they only usually have a few sections, though this is not always the case. You need to describe the segments and the values. If there are many, then just describe the ones that are the most significant. The values are often expressed in percentage. Tables. These can sometimes be tricky as they provide a lot of information, and it is often awkward and difficult to describe every piece of information. You have to decide and describe the values and sections that are the most significant. Line graphs. The function of a line graph is to describe a trend. You therefore should try and describe the trend in it. So describe the movement of the lines of the graph. To describe the movement, there is some language which will always be useful. Here is a list of language you can use. The words below are particularly useful for line graphs, but they can also be used to describe the other types of graph. Verbs to describe an upward trend. The following verbs can be used to describe a trend or pattern that goes up. Climb, past tense climbed. Go up, past tense went up. Grow in past tense grew. Increase in past tense increased. Jump in past tense jumped. Rise in past tense rose. To describe a downward trend, use the verb decline in past tense declined. Decrease in the past tense decreased. Drop in past tense dropped. Fall in past tense fell. Go down in past tense went down. To describe a stable trend, use the expressions like maintain in the past tense maintained, remain in the past tense remained, stay in the past tense stayed, constant, stable, steady, unchanged. To describe trends, how something happens, you can use adverbs like sharply, rapidly, quickly, steeply, considerably, significantly, substantially, steadily, gradually, moderately, slightly, slowly. In flowchart, you have to look at the illustration and work out what the stages are and the order that things happen. This should be fairly obvious. Just look for the starting point. Organize your information clearly and describe each stage. You need to put everything in a logical order. So use the sequence expression like first of all, to begin with, after, then, next, finally, subsequently. Maps and pictures will have obvious features highlighted. Use words and phrases that describe the locations. For example, on the right, left, next to, above, below, and so on. If objects are of any particular colors, you can say, for example, that so-and-so country marked in red like that. If you see the objects of different shapes and sizes, you can describe like large circle, smaller square, etc. Before speaking, identify the type of image. Is it a graph, picture, map, chart, or table? I normally don't recommend my students to use erasable notebook booklet to make notes because you have only 25 seconds to study the image and prepare your points. So have a sharp observation over the image. First sentence. First sentence, you have to speak about the topic. So introduce the topic. What is the image showing? Second sentence, give an overview. For example, like you can say overall there was a significant rise or fall like that. So describe about the most important and noticeable features. In next 3 to 4 sentences, speak about other specific details. Do not just describe the data. You need to compare the data to other data in the graph to show some meaning. Please note, conclusion is not compulsory because you have to speak under time condition. Finally, speak clearly and naturally. Speak at a normal rate, at a normal volume. Avoid speaking too quickly. If you speak too softly, it may be difficult to score your response. Avoid frequent pauses. Include all the main points conveyed by the image. Features. Instructions will be presented at the top of the computer screen. The type of image will vary by item. The image may be a graph, picture, map, chart, or table. The type of image will be stated in the instructions. In the recording status box, the status will count down from 25 seconds. After 25 seconds, you will hear a short tone and microphone will open. In the recording status box, the status will change to recording. The recording progress indicator features a blue bar that will gradually move to the right. If you stop speaking for more than 3 seconds or if time runs out, the status will change to completed. You have 40 seconds to give your response to each item. Click on the next button to go to the next item. There will be 6 to 7 describe image items. Your score is based on 3 factors: content, oral fluency, and pronunciation. Partial credit scoring applies to describe image. Let us see the example. The bar chart shows the percentage of people who hold a science qualification in Singapore and Malaysia. Very low percentage of people hold science qualification at master's degree level in both the countries. At bachelor's degree level, 10% Malaysian people are qualified in science, and comparatively 20% people hold science qualification in Singapore. Science qualification at school leaving exams level is 30% in Malaysia, but it is 5% less in Singapore. More than half of the people hold no science qualification at all in both the countries.